Now we look at how to use graph transformations to sketch graphs for those functions. So here we're going to look at square root function. And so first step, we need to be able to recognize the basic function, which is square root of x. And notice that comparing the function we're given and the basic function, we're adding 1 to the square root function. So notice that from the summary, we know that whenever we add one number to the function, the number could be positive or negative. If it's positive, we move the graph up. If it's negative, we move the graph down. So we go back to the example. So first step, we sketch the graph for square root of x. And we may pick like 1 or 2 points from 0, 0 and 1, 1 and 4, 2. So we're going to sketch the graph for y equal to square root of x. And I'm going to use a different color, which you don't have to. And so we are going to, so adding 1 means move the graph, or shift the graph 1 unit upward. So we're going to take the entire graph and to shift the graph. The way to do it, you can look at the 3 points we had previously. So move this point up 1 unit and move this point. Notice the original 0 is moved to 1. So we got a 1 point, and 1 will be moved to 2. And that 1 was 2 and it will be moved to 3. So that we got 3 points. We can join them. So that's the graph. We mark the you don't have to use different color, but you can mark the graph. So that's the one we need. Okay, so now let's look at next example. This time, notice we're adding 1 to x. And remember, the translation tells us if we add a number to only x, not the entire function, positive means moving the graph to the left. Negative means moving the graph to the right. Then notice that we have plus 1, which means we're going to move the graph. When we add 1 to x, so it tells me to move the graph to the left. So first, I'm still going to draw the graph for 2, 3, 4. Sketch the graph for y equal to x. And when adding 1 means move the graph to the left. So these 3 points we got originally, move it to the left 1 unit, move to the left 1 unit, move to the left 1 unit. And now we can join these 3 points to get y equals square root of x plus 1. So here we shift the graph to the left. You can just mark each curve to indicate, so we can see how you did the shifting and which one is the correct answer. Now the last one, we have a lot of operations involved. So previously we just need to do one transformation, but in this case we have, and first of all we should be able to recognize there's something squared. So the basic function here is x squared. And notice that operations we did. So we subtract 1 from x. So first step, we did x minus 1. And then second step, we multiply the function by 2. So we take the square root function, multiply by 2 times the function, x minus 1 squared. And then the third step, we multiply by negative. And the final step, we subtract 2 from the whole thing. Okay, so we are going to do 4 transformations. Let me highlight the transformations we did. So first we did x minus 1 and then squared. Actually, I should have put a squared there. So we only subtract 1 in the base. And we know that we'll shift the graph to the left or right. Okay, so negative actually to the right. And then after that, we did times by 2. And then we did times by negative 1. And then we did subtract 2. Okay, so this will, so first we're going to draw the basic function, which is x squared. We know it's a parabola. So we have a parabola. Again, you can pick a few points. This is y equals x squared. So the first operation, subtracting 1, will shift the graph 1 unit to the right. So I'm going to move this graph to the right 1 unit from 0 to 1. My graph may not look very, it's a little hard for me to draw with this pen. So I'll try to make it. So when we are moving to the right, we shouldn't change the shape, like how wide it opens. So we need to try our best to keep it. You can pick a few points to make it easier for us to do that. For example, we can pick 0, 0, and 1, 1, and -1 and 1. So each move these 3 points. This will be moved to that, and that will be moved to this, and this one be moved to down here. Actually, I should correct that. So if we pick a few points, that will help us draw the graph better. So it's going to go through this point. Okay, so this is going to be x minus 1 squared. Next step, we multiply by 2. If we remember that when we multiply a number greater than 1, it's going to stretch it in y direction, which means vertically. So the graph, the next step, it's going to stretch it vertically. So this is going to, you can kind of hold it and stretch it vertically. All right, so we're going to get something like that. We have so many of them, it's probably a little harder for us to see now. 2 times x minus 1 squared. Now, multiplied by -1, a function multiplied by -1, if you remember, it's going to take the function multiplied by -1. It's going to be x's reflection, so we reflected about x-axis. So let's take the graph we have, this long one, narrow one, we're going to flip it down. Okay, so that is going to be y equals -2 times x minus 1 squared. And then finally, -2 means we move the graph down 2 units. So we take this point, move down 1 and 2 units. And so that would be our, well, my graph is not really very good. Get rid of that. Okay, so, and get rid of this point. So now that's the final one. Let's mark it. So this one right here is going to be the final answer. Y equals -2 times x minus 1 squared minus 2. So we did 4 transformations. That's a horizontal translation. That's a vertical stretching. And this one is x-axis reflection. And finally, a vertical translation again.